This is Conor Holway of the Golden Hours podcast. And if you by chance get any sort of hashtag value or your hashtag entertained at all in this episode, just share with a friend, man. That's all we ask. Anybody listening or tuning in, they're probably somewhat fascinated by film in Massachusetts. If you were young, like a young buck, 23-year-old Kris Meyer, you know what I'm saying? You still got some pipes on you. You're wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. You're ready to go put in that work, right? Yeah. How would you get involved in film and get work in film solely in Massachusetts?
Well, I think today it's more. There's more opportunity now than when I was a kid. There was no tax credit, so one movie a year would come to Massachusetts, and everybody would try to get on that job. Now, I don't know what's going on now. Maybe there's 3 or 4 movies, half a dozen movies being made as we speak. Big budget movies. So you just got to get your finger on the pulse, call the Mass Film Office, call Central Booking, and then start networking and meeting everybody in the business you can. And you'll work your way up and get a job in whatever department you want, and hopefully it turns into a career. Hi, this is Kris Meyer, and this is the Golden Hour.
Blew it. Totally blew it. This is my goal. Because this is yours.
All right. Hi, my name is Kris Meyer, and this is my Golden Hour.
Oh God, what's going on? Where am I going? Dad?
Yes, my son. I am Deuce, the deer god.
I'm so confused. Who am I?
Derek. Your true name is Darkules.
Wait, what?
Yes. You are Darkules, the god of the forest. Season 5.
Hosted by your favorite podcast host, Big Bochi. You already know the deal, mother. What's up? On my right, there's been a bunch of Hollywood figures coming up onto the show. I actually have a young woman from Slate Casting coming up later this week.
Great.
But
they're very good at what they do.
Awesome. Have you guys worked together yet?
On Super Troopers.
Cool. How was that?
What's her name?
Julie Knowlton.
Yep. She may not remember me, but yeah.
So, on my right, I have Big Hollywood. And you're a big dude, man. Kris Meyer. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. And so
Golden deer.
Yes, sir. You're in the forest, brother, man. Black brick, baby boy.
As long as you can see beyond the trees, Frankie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Frank's on the mic today, too. You want to kind of give yourself a quick little introduction?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, well, I guess that's what we'll go with.
Yeah.
So it was kind for Dave Wedge to introduce me to you, which was great. Did you guys work together on something, or?
We went to college together.
No way.
Yeah, and then we've stayed in touch, and he left the Herald, and his writing career has just snowballed. From Patriots
Wild.
Day to the Pete Frady's book, and now he's working on a number of other projects.
Well, it's pretty wild. I feel like in Boston, at least what I'm learning is there's, now that these big films are coming out here, there's this niche of just figures who all kind of know each other and have worked together a bunch. Mm-hmm. Is that the truth?
Oh, yeah. It's a small community, like most, but I'm dating myself a little bit. But in 1998...
I was 3.
Yeah. So There's Something About Mary came out.
One of my favorite movies of all time, man. Thank you.
Good Will Hunting came out.
Mm-hmm.
Some Cambridgians. And L.A. Confidential.
Whoa.
3 of the biggest box office smashes and critiques. And that says something about where we come from. And all mass filmmakers. And
so since then, do you think that year was big for just kind of developing the scene out here, kind of? Or
I think we've always had a great filmmaking genesis from Boston that's moved out to Los Angeles. I call us expats. But, I mean, there's a large New England, New York, Chicago-based, community out there. But, yeah, specifically from Massachusetts, it's been thriving for a long time.
Sorry, before we continue, can you give a quick synopsis of who you are and what you do for anybody listening or watching?
Hi, my name is Kris Meyer. I'm a filmmaker. What else should I add to that?
You're a great guy, from what I'm learning.
My nephew thinks I look like calls me Uncle Shrek.
That's pretty disrespectful.
That or a Hellboy.
Hellboy.
Just I got to way down the hill.
That's a good movie, actually. Really.
Hellboy's a great movie. I mean, he's a superhero, right? Who doesn't want to be a superhero? And I love it that when he saves the world, they want to give him the Taj Mahal or the White House or some grand place, and all he wants is his cats and some homemade chocolate chip cookies. That's all I want, and a cold glass of milk.
And he's pissed all the time.
Yeah, and he takes a nice little puff as a cigar. When you need me to save the world, call me. And he walks off into the sunset.
And he's jacked.
Yeah, Jack. Ron Perlman can't beat a better Hellboy.
Huge. And can you kind of just give a quick synopsis of your film career, just start to finish?
Yeah. Moved out to Los Angeles. I'm a local guy.
This is a wild story, by the way. I'm just because I had listened to the other podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you really did live like a Hollywood type story.
Yeah, I mean, I went to local schools here at Boston College High School and then Boston College, and got out of school in the early '90s, and the job market wasn't too fulfilling. I was going to go to law school, and then I just started. I figured I love the movies, and my mom said, "Hey, why are you trying to go get in the movie business? How do you do that, Ma?" I called the Mass Film Office and worked for a year, and then I threw caution to the wind. Going to make movies, Ma. My dad's like, Jesus Christ, But at that time, there was no cell phones, right? No internet. So I got lucky. I moved out there. It was a struggle like everyone is for the first time. No money, no network. And, I stuck it out for a few years and finally met the Farrelly Brothers just before their careers took off. And when theirs did, mine did as well.
So you went with zero money, like nothing to your name.
I made a few bucks. I mean, not much.
So you really
I didn't even know what a down payment on a apartment was. First and last and all that. It's all I had. I probably had $5,000 maybe. And that's not a lot.
and you knew nobody.
Nobody.
So there must have been something in the back of your mind, like, this might work out though. This is so crazy that it might work.
Yeah, that's why you go, right? And you're young and dumb and stupid and gullible and naive. Luckily I wouldn't do it now.
We got kids now, right?
Yeah, but it's the right time and right moment back then. And actually, it's kind of a funny story. One of the first guys the first guy I ever met in Los Angeles was Pat Riley of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Wow.
Someone I was waiting to get my place to stay, and they said, "It's not going to be ready till later." So I cruised up to Malibu and started kind of driving around, and I ended up in a pizza shop.
So had you driven out there from Boston?
Yeah, I drove. Yeah.
This guy's lived an awesome life.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And
totally alone, right?
Totally alone.
Good for you.
Yeah, not easy, but that's part of the journey, right? Makes you stronger.
So yeah, elaborate on the Pat Riley.
Oh no, so we're in line waiting for our pizzas, and he looks like $1 million. He's all tanned up, they slicked back hair, he's in white linen and everything, and he keeps turning around and looking at me, and I'm like, hey, what's this guy doing? I'm like, hey. So finally he moves up, I move up, and he comes over and he asks me who I play football for. And I said, I don't. He said, I know. He said, what team do you play for? He thought I played in the NFL.
Because you're a big dude.
Yeah, he thought I played in the NFL. And I said, nah, I don't play football. But nice to meet you, Pat. And he said, nice to meet you. And he said, I know. So I went over and I sat down by myself and I had my sandwich and the pizza or whatever. And he's with his kids. And before he left, he came over again and said, I know you. I know who you play for. I know he's kind of laying low. Keep up the good work. So I'm like, thanks, man.
All right, man. Thanks. No problem.
Jeez.
Actually, real quick, something similar happened to me. There's a Chipotle in Waltham. Did I tell you this story?
Nah.
There's a Chipotle. I love Chipotle. There's a Chipotle in Waltham. And Health Point in Waltham? It's like where the Celtics used to practice before the Auerbach Center. So Celtics players would go in there all the time. And so I'd go there after I'd work out. And so one day I saw Danny Ainge sitting, trying to just eat very low key, eat his burrito bowl. And I knew it was him because I was like, this is Danny Ainge. It's the Trader Danny. It's the guy making it happen. So I got my Chipotle bowl and I go up to him. I'm like, hey, Mr. Ainge, because I'm like 6'3", I'm a tall dude. So I could kind of pass as a basketball player. I was like, hey, I just want to know if you got my highlight tape. And he looks at me, he's like,
oh, yeah, you told me that story.
That's pretty funny. That's a good move.
He's like, highlight tape. I'm like, yeah. Did you see it? He was like, I'm sorry, man. I'm just really busy. I just want to eat my bowl right now. No problem. And I was like, I'm joking. He's like, oh, okay. And I just left.
It's perfect, though.
Yeah. Hey, you made it happen, man. Have you been in the news center yet? Have you seen it?
No. What kind of bowl did he have?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why would you judge him based on the ingredients?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What he's having.
So double chicken sofritas? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's that other meat they have other than the pork? But the
Carnitas?
no, it's like it's a different kind of pork.
Sofritas?
No. Anyways, yeah.
Do you know?
I've
You're not big on it?
I've never had Chipotle.
What?
Yeah.
I've definitely taken you to Chipotle.
No.
You definitely have
You
to now,
didn't.
though.
Dude, Chris is going to pay her for Chipotle after this episode,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Sure,
absolutely.
sure.
Where is it? Is it close?
No franchise businesses in Union Square.
Oh, okay.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go out to L.A., right?
Yeah.
You're wide-eyed. You're bushy-tailed.
Oh, yeah.
My dream's about to happen.
You think it might get close, but at the same time, you got to be realistic.
So you start how? I had listened you working in a bar. You were kind of just winging it for a little bit.
Yeah, I was winging it for a long time. Yeah, I play a lot of basketball, and I met everybody playing hoops, and they all said, "Why don't you go up to this blues club up the street?" And then I met the guy.
Where in L.A.?
In Santa Monica and Venice. I lived in Venice for the first year.
And
Kind of all over Venice.
the area's
Santa
great,
Monica.
right?
Yeah, it's on the beach. It's close. I always say it's the cleanest air and it's the coolest, part of town.
And so you're playing basketball.
Yeah, I'm playing basketball. A bunch of guys I'm playing with say, "Hey, we should go to this new blues club." I run out of money. I'm at a hot dog stand in Santa Monica, and I meet a guy who went on to become my friend and my boss. And I said, "Hey, man, I'm new to the area. I ran out of money." I said, "Hey, man, I went just so I just gave him a little bit about who I was." He said, "You play hoop on the beach?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You want to bounce?" I'm like, "Not really, but yes."
I'll do it.
And so I ended up bouncing there and then bar backing and bartending. And the Farrelly Brothers used to come in there all the time. And it wasn't really a typical nightclub. It was more of a lounge, kind of relaxed place. Excuse me. And we just hit it off. And they, just would invite me to watch the games, have dinner over once in a while. And then about 4 or 5 years in, nothing was happening. Everyone back east is... their lives are growing and they're buying houses, they're getting out of law school, they're getting their MBAs, and I'm still kind of banging people out of bar rooms and, it's kind of just floundering. But I was just about to pack it in and I got a call from the Farrelly Brothers. And I said, "Kris, it's Pete and Bob, what are you doing?" I said, "What's that, a joke?" I said, "I'm curled up in the fetal position in the closet watching the light bulb burn."
Eating ramen.
Yeah, I'm down 70 pounds, I'm about to move into my truck. I don't know if I should hurl myself off the building or...
That's interesting too. So where a lot of your BC buddies, do they go on and do corporate jobs, accountants, lawyers type thing?
Yeah, most of the guys I'm friends with still are either attorneys or they're in the financial services business.
So you were that one friend that they're like, "Whoa, what's Kris doing?"
Yeah, I'm a little bit of an outlier or a rogue, if you will, or on the fringe.
As am I. Most of my friends are in a cubicle right now. So
yeah,
shout out to you guys.
Yeah, and there's no discredit to that. It's just a different path, and
for sure.
Yeah, and sometimes that road less traveled makes all the difference, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's why you risk, right? That's why we all take risks. And I mean, look at Frank. He lives quite far away. Where he comes from, and he's here.
So you're 28 or 29 when you get that call?
Yeah, I was 27 when I got the call, and then we went on. My first movie full time was There's Something About Mary,
which is one of my favorite movies of all time, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
So did you start out as a PA for the most part?
I started as an assistant to the director.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's...
so you're running errands.
Yes, you do that, but you do more... The nice thing about it, I tell a lot of kids you should be a producer's assistant or the director's assistant because you touch every facet of filmmaking, including doing a lot of the, menial or trivial work, which you don't want to be doing. You're also answering phone calls from the studio, the producers, the editors, the production designers, the costumers. You help assist the director tell his vision and just do whatever he wants, especially early on. It's not just doing errands and walking the dog and picking the kids up. I mean, you do a lot of that, but no, you don't do enough. You don't do a lot of that, and hopefully, the folks that you're working with within reason. Don't
They're
have
not
you-
condescending like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it's that job is very specific to most jobs, and you wouldn't do that in most other corporate worlds. But again, you touch everything from day one to you touch the script from day one of writing all the way to the day one release of the movie, and you're right along the directors, so you're a sponge, and you continue to learn as you go.
So they had learned, like, hey, Kris is about to leave. We love this guy. We're boys with this guy. Let's get him on a movie. He's hardworking enough.
Yeah, essentially, I think they were just giving a young guy a shot that they had come to know but didn't really know that well. We were just acquaintances. And since then, we've become friends and partners in jobs. Right now, I mean, I work with them, not for them a lot of times now, and a little bit of both.
So I think one thing I'm at least learning, and totally, if I'm wrong, let me know, but especially developing like a really solid film team has led to longevity for like a lot of big productions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how much of a benefit do you think it was that you and then the Farrelly team, you guys had similar humors and you guys kicked it off comedically? Has that helped you long term?
Oh yeah. I mean, early on, I wasn't really a big comedy guy until I started working for him.
Would you like dramas only?
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted Shawshank. I wanted
a fire movie though.
Yeah.
Unbelievable movie.
Cool Hand Luke. I wanted to make, but comedies is one of the toughest movies to make, and I learned that and found a new respect for it working with Peter and Bobby, and I've taken that with me. So,
You're always a funny dude though, or
us?
were you?
That could be funny when we need to be.
Yeah. Well, some people just aren't funny,
Yeah, no. I come from a lot of firefighters and cops.
Yeah.
That's whatever, the world makes us laugh.
Well, I'm starting to see like a common thread for a lot of people that get into entertainment out of Boston too. There's a lot of funny people from the city, man.
Oh, I mean, we're
Some of the funniest.
We're a hard scrabble town, and what gets you through life is comedy and laughter. That's what pushes us to keep moving.
I hate when people say life is pain.
Yeah,
I hate that shit.
Life is pain.
Life is struggle.
I'd say life is tough. It's not easy for everybody, and what gets us through is laughter, making people laugh. That's why we've lost. A lot of America's lost the funny bone. We got to get back to having a funny bone.
Well, comedy's shifted a ton, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we have to be careful now. You have the sensitivity.
You couldn't make the movies you were making in the 90s now.
No, you couldn't make something about Mary now.
You definitely couldn't make something about someone with Down syndrome who has headphones on and baseball behind their ear.
Yeah, we might not that or The Ringer, but
The Ringer, oh man.
Hopefully, that changes because right now you have the sensitivity police out there constantly checking and rechecking, and there's a little bit of censorship out there, which we need to laugh.
But I think there's still a niche for good comedy film, though. Wouldn't you concur?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There always will be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And those ones shine and break through.
Well, I mean, this is me bouncing around a little bit, but were your restrictions when you were working on the Netflix movie, was the script more censored than other films you've worked on, or are they more compliant with some of the humor?
That came out. So this is,
for reference, this is The Do-Over.
Yeah, The Do-Over
with Adam Sandler and David Spade.
That script came to me and was born around probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more.
It's a great idea.
But again, the times weren't as sensitive as they are today. So
even 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago now. Yeah. So today, I mean, most of Sandler's movies are pretty crass and crude, which
they're great though.
Yeah, that's what makes it him.
What's your favorite
of
an Adam Sandler movie?
Well, I'm biased. I have to say The Do-Over.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Billy Madison's a classic.
Billy Madison's a classic.
At the end,
Wedding Singer.
Chris Farrelly with the penguin. He's like, ah.
Yeah. The Wedding Singer. I mean, they're all they're good movies.
I feel like that's my favorite age of movies though. Is like the late '90s when you were really starting to make movies. Just funny movies, man.
I mean, we did late '90s. We did Me, Myself, and Irene. We did Shallow Hal.
Shout out to Father Ken, man.
Yeah, Father Ken Gombert, Providence College.
He'll never tell anybody that he's in the movie. But then I was watching it one day and I was like, dude, that's you. I see you bringing this married couple. What's wrong with you? It's like, yeah, they just wanted me in for one day, and they had this big jib shot where they brought it off a crane.
Yeah, no, he was great.
You remember?
And Peter Farrelly's friends with him from college, I believe.
So you start on There's Something About Mary.
Yep.
At the time, this is your first movie, but did you know it was like, okay, this is kind of special. This is hilarious.
I didn't really know until we got into the test screening out in Los Angeles, when you bring in all the executives and they bring in the executive marketing teams, and now it becomes real and everyone's on the edge of their seat. And when you're in the test screening and they do it in your typical public theater, and I was in the middle of a bunch of kids, and once it started and once they started laughing, you couldn't hear the rest of the movie. They were diving across at me, high five. Everything.
Oh, it was wild.
Oh yeah, you couldn't hear the jokes, and all of a sudden you see all the execs. Everyone starts real. Oh, we have something. Wow, and it just popped.
And then Brett Favre comes out and they're like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god.
What
Brett
is the
Favre?
what's the name of the
You know who was originally supposed to be in that?
Who's that?
It's
I think you told me you said Jon Stewart, right?
No, he auditioned for the Ben Stiller character, but Brett Favre was initially going to be Bledsoe.
No way.
Yeah.
And this was right in Bledsoe's heyday.
Yep.
I love the shirt today. Yo, the Pats.
Yeah, I figured I'd wear a little.
Pats obliterated last night.
Wear a little bit of a little homage to a nice kickoff to the season.
Yeah, that was great. So that's also a good segue. Not to bounce around a ton. I got the ADHD, man. Whoa.
It's all right. We all do.
So you've made a handful of Boston projects. Is that important to you?
Because
yeah,
of course.
It's important to Dave too. Wedge.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, this is where we come from. We know it best, and a lot of folks come to us because we're local filmmakers that we've made movies on the global level, but still make the movies independently. I've made 3-4 independent movies here, and they're fun because it's in your backyard as well.
Do you think there's still a niche in Boston to create Boston-based film? Do you think it's played out? Or do you think there's still a ton of stories out here that you'd like to touch on?
Yeah, I think.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, is it saturated or is it?
I mean, how many more towns and Departed?
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that. But sooner or later, one will bubble up and will come to the top. Whether it's from a novel that was written 100 years ago, or someone comes up with a new story, a new angle, and how to tell this story. Shakespeare said every story's been told 3 times. When you really watch movies, there's a formula to them.
Well, I was telling Dave off camera, and I should probably tell you off camera because we can make gazillion bucks, man. Dude, the Aaron Hernandez movie is going to be wild. That is going to be a crazy movie.
It won't be boring.
The plot twist at the end that he was gay the whole time, that is wild.
Yeah, it's a troubled story.
It is. It's pretty crazy. Okay, so you're on. There's Something About Mary happens, right?
Yep.
You're pumped. Movie's sick. You were dogging it in your studio apartment, ready to hurl yourself swan dives.
That's it.
Straight onto the pavement. And now you're like, whoa, I'm a producer on this huge movie.
Yeah. I was their assistant. And then what happens is, luckily, because of the success of the film, 20th Century Fox gives you a development deal,
A contract.
which is the dream for a filmmaker.
Saying, hey, we'll give you 4 movies type thing.
Well, you do a first look deal, and then they give you overhead to establish a company and hire a team of people like myself. And on the next film, I got my first producer credit, and then you go to associate producer, co-producer, producer.
Work your way up.
To partner, yeah. Over the next 15, 16, 17 years.
Can you just elaborate on that one more time? So 21st Century says, hey, Farrelly Brothers, you guys got some vision. This comedy's hilarious.
Right.
We're gonna toss you some bread here to make another movie, and if that one does well, we'll give you 3 more. Is that how it works?
Yeah, they don't really sign you up for 3 or 4. They'll sign a deal for you, and then you bring them projects, and they say yay or nay.
What is the deal?
Well, if you just bring them a project, a script, and they'll either say we like it, or if not, you can still shop it around the rest of Hollywood and go make it at Paramount or MGM or Sony, and then you find the next one. And then they we really want to make this one, and then they'll help. Then they finance it for you, and then you go make it. Then you have to go package it and get the star and things like that.
So that's how directors and producers develop a rapport with the studio. It's just really a film by film basis for the most part.
Yes, well, it obviously depends on 20th Century Fox had funded something about Mary, which became a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
So they're more apt to listen to you than if it failed.
Yeah, I understand.
And then again, you hopefully go on a good ride with them.
So is that, as a producer, is that kind of the dream, is to work solely exclusively with one studio? Is business easier that way? Like, everybody.
Well, it's a little easier in that there's structure and you have a steady check coming in all the time, versus freelancing and being hired project by project. So now you have an office and you have a salary and everything else, and you can settle in and really, get to work and start writing as many scripts as you can, because you're constantly developing, a dozen projects or more. And
so at the time, when you were it was Conundrum Entertainment, correct?
Right.
So you're exclusively working with 21st Century at this time.
Yes.
And so what's your day-to-day? You're posted up in an office saying,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to get the wheels rolling on this movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to go contact this casting agent. I'm going to do this, that.
Yeah. So my job specifically is still to help the Farrelly Brothers with whatever they need. But then we start reading scripts. It's called coverage. I start doing a lot of coverage. So you're reading scripts after scripts after scripts after scripts, and you give like a book report. You cover that. It's called coverage. And then you do a log line, and then you do a summary, and then you give a pros and cons of what you like and don't like about it, and then you kind of check off the box, should I read it or not? And it kind of goes up, and you recommend it or you don't.
But these are not the original screenplays that the Farrellys were writing. These are other scripts from other directors.
Yeah, we have Pete and Bob write their own, but also we get them from other agencies, whether it's CAA, WME, UTA, ICM. Paradigm, Gersh, they send scripts hoping that you'll like what their writers have done, and then produce them. And the nice thing about a production company is Pete and Bob may direct and write their own films, but they're also going to put their name on and help produce other films that are there with all of us involved.
I get it. So it was over time, just pretty much through experience, where you kind of started to develop an eye for a good script. What's good and what's bad? Yes.
Yeah, that takes a knack, and it takes training, and the more you do it, the better you get, like anything else.
Are there any out there still that you're like, oh, I'd really still love to make that movie?
Oh yeah, you always have a few on the shelf that's the dream, and for whatever reason they don't pop. Even with some of the most high-powered guys in town and gals in town, it just doesn't go for whatever reason. You attach one star and then you wait too long. The star has another job. You bring the star in, they don't want enough money. The money goes away. He goes away or she goes away, and then it's a long process. And sometimes, hopefully, you get lucky. You can make it sooner than later.
So, is that another benefit to having a close-knit production team on the administrative level and the production level? That, okay, cool. Kris thinks this script's awesome. We should bring this to screen. Now we can make decisions much faster on how to get this movie produced now that you already have your Conundrum Entertainment.
Yeah, that's easier for Pete and Bob. At the time, I was still young, and learning the game. But that's if the guys are that passionate about that project, they'll bring it to Fox, and they may have already loosely attached someone, whether it's Jim Carrey or Gwyneth Paltrow or whoever, Jack Black.
Zellweger.
Yeah, Renee Zellweger. And you might have got the script to them just earlier, so you can come in and say, oh, these folks are already interested, or this is the next project we really want to direct. Here are our thoughts on cast. What do you think? And then the studios will also give their opinion on who they want in the movie, and then hopefully you meet in the middle and you're ready to rock.
Film School 101, Frank. You should learn more now than you'd learn in class. So, okay, so there's something about Mary Happens. Next is me, myself, and Irene, right?
Yeah, we did a 2-week kids one. It's mostly animation.
Osmosis Jones. Right?
Osmosis Jones.
I actually love that.
Great movie.
Wasn't Bill Murray in that?
Bill Murray.
He was like wicked sick, and there's all this shit happening inside his body, right?
Molly Shannon, Chris Elliott.
Yeah, that movie
Brandy.
traumatized me, man. Thanks.
Yeah, it was good.
I remember the
It's a good
dad was
movie.
about to die. I was like, oh my God.
Well, that was the message, right? Once he swallows the pill Drix, and then you go in. It turns into animation once you go into the body, and the kids learn all about what a fever is. And
What
Lawrence Fishburne's character was trying to burn him up.
Yeah, I remember. It was like ridiculous. There was all this science innuendo going on.
We shot that in Plymouth, Mass.
All the Bill Murray scenes.
Yeah.
And then you just delegate all the animation to a studio in L.A.
Yeah, we go Warner Brothers. Then we go back out to Los Angeles and the animators and create the beautiful things they do.
Did you enjoy it? The animation section? You haven't done anything since that, or?
An animation?
Yeah.
No, but we're getting close to doing an animation show. I've co-written 2 animation shows. One that's getting pretty close.
You've written it.
Yeah.
Can you give us any insight, or is it?
Yeah, it's called Black Sheep, and it's about a biracial Jewish.
I was gonna say, is there racial undertones?
Yeah, but good one.
It's comedic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What would be the dream distributor for the project?
Ooh.
From like what you're thinking.
I mean, it varies. I mean, you're happy just to get it on the air, right?
Yeah,
but I mean,
you're in sales mode.
Yes, yeah, you go from FX to Netflix to
Cartoon
HBO.
Network,
It can
maybe?
be Adult Swim. I mean, it's
Robot Chicken.
Robot Chicken. I mean, so it could go anywhere. Comedy Central, but I think FX or HBO or Netflix or one of those. Even Adult Swim would be good. Depends on where you want to. Depends on what everyone's.
Depends on where the eyeballs are, man.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, and where they need the eyeballs within that network.
So, as a producer and like you're trying to sell projects now, you're writing projects, how much has the business itself changed with the growth of these massive online platforms? Like
huge.
Netflix, Hulu,
I mean, everyone used that word disruption, right? I mean,
just changed everything.
Yeah, Netflix. I mean, people forget it wasn't that long ago. 10 years ago, Netflix was a DVD company.
Yeah, you pick it up at the grocery store even.
Yeah. And Reed Hastings said, I own 40, Blockbuster Video, cost him $40 because he was late a week. And he said, there's got to be an easier way, right? So he just shipped him the disc himself to his buddy. So why don't we start a DVD company? You can keep it as long as you want. It's $18 a month or whatever it was. And then, luckily, they had the foresight of where streaming and where the future of filmmaking might go, and they put $100 million into House of Cards, and that changed the game. And then they came out with Orange Is the New Black, and since then everybody's been trying to catch up. Hulu and Amazon, and now
and YouTube.
I mean, YouTube Red, and everybody. I mean, look at just recently. Finally, all the studios have taken notice and have to address invention and innovation because they've been behind the 8 ball. Who would have thought Disney was going to buy Fox? That would never have happened if the streaming world didn't come into being. Now you have Disney Plus, HBO Go, all these other places because they're trying to grab that audience and that community, which is so diverse now and scattered throughout. I mean, there's 436 television shows. We're in the golden age of television, but who is that niche?
So, is it? Let's say you have a project, right? You're ready to produce. You're like, okay, the best possible thing that could happen to us is that Netflix buys this. Is that kind of the case right now as a producer?
Yeah, or yes, Netflix or anybody. I mean, it's almost. I mean, it's a miracle when you get something made. Almost a miracle, right? Unless you're Spielberg or James Cameron, Peter Jackson. I mean, all the guys that are at the top of the food chain. But
Michael Bay, my guy.
Yeah, if you have a piece of IP and you can package it and go get the money and go get the team and go get the actors and the directors and all that, and then come to the network, hopefully they'll say yes. It depends on what fits into their slate as well.
Kris is in sales mode right now.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
How important has, for your personal success, how important has the ability to sell been? Is it everything?
Oh, it's everything. Yeah.
It's literally everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can write 10 scripts and one will sell.
You just got to be able to pitch that thing, though, right?
That opportunity cost is, it's not easy to write 10 scripts and only one sells. That's hours upon hours and thousands of hours of your time,
And so, for your personal success, you rising up the production ladder, right?
Yeah.
Production GOAT. Made some classic movies.
Yeah.
What habits did you have to develop early on that were like, yo, this is kind of what helped me get up here? And I'm sick of everyone saying it was Hollywood luck, right place, right time. That's not how this works.
No, you have to work hard. And then I was pretty specific because at the time there weren't very many dual directors, so I worked for 2 directors, right? So I learned most how to multitask. You're working on multiple projects at multiple times, multiple things going on, and I think there was one other maybe sibling team, but not many. Now you have friends.
The Sadfi Brothers make great movies now. Do you know them?
Who?
The Sadfi Brothers. Have you seen them?
Oh yeah. They just had a big one come out.
Are they A24 Plan B?
Yeah. They just I forget what they just had a big movie come out that got bought
with Robert Pattinson.
But now you have a lot of folks, like there's brother teams, there's friends teams. Like it's not uncommon now to have 2 directors on a film, but 25 years ago there weren't too many.
It was just like Coppola.
Yeah, he was by himself. Yeah,
His daughter's a killer director.
Oh, she's a great director. Lost in Translation's a great movie.
Who do you like who are your favorite up and coming directors right now?
Ooh, up and coming. I guess he's already come, but David Gordon Green.
Mm-hmm.
He's already made it, but I like those guys. Danny McBride, a bunch of friends of mine. 2 friends of mine are working on his show, Righteous Gemstones.
Dude, Danny McBride is hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious, dude. Eastbound and Down is hilarious.
Yeah. Vice Principals, and he's a great guy. I mean, there's been very few actors that come to you at the end of a movie and say thank you. And thank you for doing X, Y, and Z, and then give you a little gift, and he's one of them.
A little $10,000, yeah.
Yeah, they gave me a box of cigars. That's good enough. I'm happy with that.
We'll take it. Just have him sign it. You could flip it.
I don't flip anything.
Oh, you don't do any eBay flipping?
No.
Okay.
I don't even know what eBay is.
Well,
I'm joking though.
I'm learning a lot. Thank you. You having fun?
I'm having a blast.
Frank, you doing okay?
Have you cracked a smile over there, Frank?
Yeah, of course.
He'll do it like that. He doesn't want anyone to see he's happy.
He's in the shadows back there. I like that.
Frank, do you like the new setup?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Way better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so you guys are on this like total just killing it, pumping out dope movies.
Yeah.
At what point are you like, whoa, not many people can consistently make funny comedies? We kind of got something like we're creating a legacy here, man.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Pete and Bob, what they do and still do.
Give yourself a little credit.
Well, I'm there. I'm working with them. They're the driving force. We're there to help support and push. So with them.
Yeah, but they're up there behind the camera. Then you're behind the scenes saying, "Yo, do this, make this happen."
Yeah. I did. When I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually working in Hollywood. Is when you're on the mixing stage. It's pretty cool. Like when we did the Three Stooges, you're sitting there with the full orchestra in the background, and they're playing. They're scoring the music to the film. That's pretty cool.
And were they doing the Foley there too in studio?
Oh yeah, they do all the Foley, but they do that in a different part of the
right?
studio. Yeah. And then I remember we had a little. It's no longer there, but one of our local beautiful old movie palaces in town here. I went and saw one of our movies was screening there, and I walked in just to my mom's family. I mean, friends were all watching this movie. They didn't even know I was there. I just walked into the back of the theater.
Where was this? Cambridge?
This was in Quincy, Mass.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an old school theater there that was there called the Wollaston Theater, and that's pretty cool to go in and see your movie there.
It was your movie.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Well, where
after gone out to L.A. 10 years prior, and with all that hustle and everything, it's kind of cool to see it come to life.
So, what were some of like the worst on-set failures that you had as a producer? Where you're like, damn, I really came up short. That must have happened once.
Oh yeah, early on that happens all the time because I'm green and I have no idea what I'm doing, and then Pete and Bob expect you to know what you're doing, and all of a sudden they're like, go over there and talk to Cameron Diaz and tell her she's,
5 pounds overweight.
You want me to tell her that? You want me to tell her? Isn't there a producer that does that? A more seasoned producer. There's nothing.
I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I could be totally wrong, but from the genre of comedy you create, was the set ever really stressful, or were most people laid back?
No, it's pretty stressful.
It's always stressful.
Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of money on the line, and you're dealing with some big egos and some of the biggest stars in the world, and you have to deliver. Because sometimes that cliche, you're only as good as your last movie.
Execute.
Yeah. So you have to execute and do that well. So you hire the right guys and the right team around you, hopefully, and the gals, and knock on wood, it becomes fruitful for everyone.
But there was never a moment where you're like, whoa, this is $1 million shot, man. Kris, you did not do your job.
No, at that time, that wasn't my responsibility. But you already knew all that going in, the prep work, right, and pre-production. So you have rehearsals, and you're doing, you try to mitigate that risk as much as you can. So that's why you have prep work, and you hire the right guys and the right team and the right people. So when you get in there on the day, you're going to bump into speed bumps all along and curveballs along the way. But typically, knock on wood, there isn't any big ones at that point. The toughest part of making the movie is the prep work.
Yeah, the preparation is
and
terrible.
then once you're there,
once
you're there, you're still putting out fires, but that's the fun part, is making the movie.
Okay, quick transition here.
Yeah.
So after the Golden Age run,
Yeah,
you then make the documentary, the Louis Tion documentary.
correct, yeah.
I did killer ass research for this podcast.
You did. Jesus.
Straight. I didn't know I had a big shot in the building, man. I had to come
I'm
ready.
surprised you even know who Louis is.
Of course, it's the Cuban mastermind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And from everyone's just experience
Maestro.
about this dude, I try my best not to talk about other dudes just on the podcast for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But everyone says this guy was just like a legend in every respect. And so you finished Fever Pitch, right? Classic movie. I actually love Jimmy Fallon. I'll always remember the shot of the toilet paper with the Yankees on it. I always thought that shit was hilarious.
We had to fight that tooth and nail because
I'm sure it's a copyright thing, right?
Yeah, copyright plus the studio plus you're kind of throwing them under under everything, if you will.
Yeah, it was a Red Sox movie. Like everyone hates the Yankees. So you then say, okay, I met Louis Tion. This dude is kind of on the way out, but he wants to go back to Cuba. I got to make this happen. Can you elaborate?
Well, his career had already been over for a long time, but
no, I mean like he was. You said he was sensing his own mortality.
I think he was sensing his own mortality just because at that time he was almost 70, and maybe you start feeling the clock's ticking, and you've always wanted to go home to the country you grew up in and you love, but you couldn't go back for whatever reasons. And he said that at the end of the night, and a friend, Vic Melfa, introduced me, and I was driving home, and he said, "Hey man," he said, imagine if we could take him home." And I thought about it for a couple of weeks. I didn't really know him. I didn't know if he was full of shit or not, and blowing smoke. And I called him a couple of weeks later. He said, "Louis, you really want to go home?" He said, "Absolutely." I said, "If I can get you home, can I take a camera crew?" He said, "Absolutely." And it took us 2 years to get to Cuba.
Yeah, what was the state of the government at that time working with Cuba?
It was still pretty tight. I mean, Bush was in office at the time.
And he hated Cuba's guts, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Was Castro was dead?
No, he was still alive. Yeah. He was still alive at the time, and now his brother Raul runs the country. But with the embargo and the sensitivity of the two countries, it's just it was unfortunate. But luckily, we got to go and bring Louis back.
Make an awesome movie.
Yeah.
So you have the idea, right? Like, let's bring him back. Are you the one who has the idea to pick the director in this situation? And this is all you're doing.
Yeah. Well, myself and Bobby Farrelly. Mm-hmm. So I bring I come up with the idea, and then I broach it with the Farrelly Brothers, and they either like it or they don't. I can go make the movie by myself or with them.
But you already got that sales skill, right?
And they love it. So then now we go on our search for a director, and at that time, I forget who introduced us to John Hawk. John Hawk, I think, is one of the best sports documentarians in the world. He's done most of the 30 for 30s that you've enjoyed.
He did Fab Five?
Did Fab Five. He did the Marcus Dupree.
What's your favorite, Frank? Your favorite 30 for 30?
I don't even know.
Okay, nice.
Is that right? He's new to the game.
It's
Yeah.
30 for 30. They're ESPN sports-based documentaries
Okay.
about like really,
Human interest stories.
really like pivotal stories in sports that also include culture, and
Okay.
they're like Vice documentaries for sports.
Yeah.
And it's like how I pitch it to the Farrelly Brothers. It's about a guy going home after 46 years in exile who happened to play baseball for a living.
But your sales skill is already 100. You're
Yeah.
that Kris Meyer.
So it's not really about the baseball. It's about him going home, and obviously what he's done in and around baseball. And that's what, John also did the Chris Herron story, local
Yes, sir.
basketball legend, and his
I was
fight
dead
with
for
addiction.
30 seconds.
Yeah, he was
Home,
dead for things.
you've been dead for 30 seconds, homeboy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And now he's doing well and turned his life around and trying to turn other kids' lives around the country.
A blunt and a solo cup. I told you he'd come to my high school and spoke.
Yeah,
He's an intense dude, man.
he is.
There was
You remembered it.
what?
You remember that.
Well, I remember him
That's
calling
why
out a
he's
kid in the
intense.
audience
Yeah.
too, because the kid was talking over him. He was like, "You want to get up here? You want to get up here and do the speech?"
Yep.
And I was like, "I would hate to be that kid right now."
Yeah.
So you touched back down in Cuba. My sister went to Cuba, and she was like, "It's literally like as soon as you step off the boat, it's like you're walking into the 1950s."
Oh yeah.
Is that what it was like?
Oh yeah. It still is. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place.
Because
beautiful
there's
people.
been no trades. So they have
Yeah,
no like they have more now, but they had no American
Right.
product at the time, right?
Right. Yeah. You could, the only at the time, and it's probably fairly still close, but you could only trade with them agriculturally. So you could, anything agriculturally related, you could, but other stuff just wasn't happening.
So at the time, were you like, "Oh my God, I'm making a magic happen here. This is unbelievable."
Yeah, to go back to Cuba. I've never been in Cuba. Been with Cuba with a gentleman who became my friend, Louis Tiant, and took him home. That's pretty cool.
I know,
We
but
got nominated for an Emmy.
I was
you
gonna
know?
say, did you know at the time, you're like, this is gonna make an incredible production?
No, you go in. I mean, you go in hoping for the best, right? You do the best you can. You don't know. I mean, you have an idea, hopefully, if it's good enough, but no one knows if it's gonna win an Oscar or, make $1 billion at the box office. You hope it does, and you hope you do whatever you can, and then it's up to the movie or TV gods what happens after that.
So you're saying, so kind of based on this, like, just if you find a good story, man, just stick with the good story.
Yeah, yeah, but you also have to find out and have your finger on the pulse on what's going on in the world
What
as well.
the market like.
Yeah, the market, commercial, what isn't, what's happening out there in the world.
That's what I heard Jerry Bruckheimer say too. He was like, "I just make movies that I like, and
Yeah.
I make movies that I picture. If I just sat in the back of a theater, I could eat my popcorn and enjoy it."
Yeah.
So it's the same thing for you for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah.
Have there ever been movies that you've signed on for knowing that, like, dude, this is not gonna hit?
No, usually we try to go in with the right attitude.
Okay, sorry.
Otherwise, you wouldn't get involved if you think this is going to be a tank. This is going to blow up any second. Why are we making this movie?
Well, I mean, you've never been apprehensive with certain scripts or storylines that you think might be pushing it.
Oh yeah, I mean you always do that. I mean, but that's part of the collaborative writing process, and that's why you have 5 guys reading it at the same time. They all give their input, and including the network or the studio to help make it better. There's never been a script that just goes in right away and starts making. Everyone's got to touch it at some point and put their finger on it at some point to make it better.
Okay, quick segue. So you've been making a lot of Boston projects. You kind of want to talk about the new one you just made. Give you a little promo, a little marketing, a little plug.
Yeah. This one we're hopefully going to enter
It's called The Last Night in Rozzie, correct?
Last Night in Rozzie. Yeah, it stars Neil Brown Jr., who's on a show called SEAL Team, a hit show. Another gentleman that's in it, Jeremy Sisto. He's in a show called FBI, which is on network television. Nikki Whalen, who was in our movies, Hall Pass. She plays the former wife of one of the guys. And Kevin Chapman, who was in Person of Interest. He's been in a lot of local movies. Great actor. We shot it for 15 days. A nice indie movie.
Where?
Mostly in Rosendale.
So-
Quincy, Mass. All over the city.
That must have been nice for you, right? You shoot
Yeah.
a movie in your hometown.
Yeah, nice and close to home.
Did you stay at home for it?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Well, you're working on a very low budget movie.
Yeah.
You need to save it as much money as you can. So you're not.
Who financed
Yeah, you're not staying at the Intercontinental.
Who financed it?
We friends and family.
Cool.
Yeah, we made the movie for $500,000.
Cool.
Yeah.
And $500,000 is, to me, a lot of money, but in the movie world, it's not that much.
No, not at all.
What was the biggest budget movie you had worked on?
Let me think. Jeez, well, they range from anywhere from 50 to 70 million. I don't know what, maybe
What was the Netflix?
Netflix. That was 60 million. Yeah.
Fat. Because there were a bunch of explosions, I remember, effects.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have car crashes and fight scenes and things blowing up, that tends to jack up the budget.
There's a niche.
That's why the indie films, you see less people. There's not a lot of that going on because they can't afford to pay for all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more story driven than anything.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on what the independent movie is that you're doing? Are you allowed to do that?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. It's about two gents that reunite 25 years later from their childhood that had something go very wrong, and they circle back 25 years later.
That Kris Meyer sales pitch.
Yeah,
it's cryptic. Sounds scary.
No, it's pretty good. It's a great story about friendship and how friendships change and morph throughout your years, and two guys get together when one's on their deathbed and they make peace with each other and themselves.
Was that edited in state as well?
In state?
Yeah, where is it?
That's being edited in New York, actually. So
you give the New York guys jobs, man. Why can't we keep?
Sorry,
them
the
here?
director. We made all the movie here, so.
Well, yeah. So that's been a big topic of discussion, and I think if we're gonna cut up a clip, Frank, it will be this. You ready? Who's ready for this question?
Me.
Okay.
You, Frank.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So, actually, this won't be what we cut up because we've asked it before. But a lot of people, anybody listening or tuning in, they're probably somewhat fascinated by film in Massachusetts. If you were young, like a young buck, 23-year-old Kris Meyer, you know what I'm saying? You still got some pipes on you. You're wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. You're ready to go put in that work, right?
Yeah.
How would you get involved in film and get work in film solely in Massachusetts?
Well, I think today it's more. There's more opportunity now than when I was a kid. There was no tax credit, so one movie a year would come to Massachusetts, and everybody would try to get on that job. Now, I don't know what's going on now. Maybe there's 3 or 4 movies, half a dozen movies being made as we speak. Big budget movies. So you just got to get your finger on the pulse. Call the Mass Film Office, call Central Booking, and then start networking and meeting everybody in the business you can, and you'll work your way up and get a job in whatever department you want, and hopefully it turns into a career.
Got to scrape it out, though, right?
Got to scrape it out. Unless you get real lucky, you can start at the top. But most of us have to grind it out and work our way up.
Cool. Frank, how was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to go make a movie in China, Frank.
Sure. Let's do it.
Me and Frank were talking about, have you seen Great Wall, Matt Damon?
I've seen pieces of it.
Well, it's just so interesting because I looked at the movie and I was like, what is this thing? This thing is crazy. But the consumer taste is so much different in China that this is like, that's what they're into. Like aliens and things climbing up the wall and all this wild shit.
Yeah.
Have you seen Elysium?
No.
The Matt Damon movie about it's really dope. I love a huge Matt Damon fan. Okay, cool.
Elysium. How long ago was that?
2013.
What's that about? What was
It's about it's like the year 20.
I saw that.
153.
I'm pretty sure I seen it. Yeah.
The guy just wants to leave the planet, go to Elysium where all these rich people live above the planet.
Yeah. Was Helen Hunt or who
It was
it?
Jodie Foster.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
And she gets her throat slit.
Yeah.
Vicious.
Yeah. He plays a rogue.
He plays a dude.
Soldier.
He's like a bionicle.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I love the movie.
Yeah.
It's the same dude who did Chappie in District 9.
Yep. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah. Was he South African?
Yeah, South African.
And I remember the villain was way different than anything I had expected. It was dope. What is your favorite scene you've ever directed? Because you got some classic comedies underneath your belt, bro.
Ooh.
Like
The Favorite scene?
Your favorite scene you've ever been a part of on set, not necessarily what came out after.
Probably something about Mary because that's my first one. So
You were just excited.
yeah, I was just excited to be there. I mean, Matt Dillon, Ben Stiller, Cameron Diaz, and Cameron Diaz was just coming into her own at the time. You know, she had just done, I think, The Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim
Yeah.
Jim Carrey was coming off a Pet Detective. Oh no,
Ventura.
no, The Mask. Yeah, and I think for me it was something about Mary. Just watching the guys work and learning everything I did on that show. It's my first one.
But
I tell everybody, like I'm Malcolm Butler. You know,
There was never one scene though that you were just dying laughing the whole time.
I love the scene when the whole scene at the house when he goes to ask her to
The Franks and Beans
he picks her up. Yeah, he picks her up at the house for the prom.
and the dad's black. He's like, oh my god.
Yeah, and he's asking, "Where's you see my baseball?" And you know the whole scene there.
He sees the birds chirping.
Dope. Yeah, it's the birds
It's
chirping.
hilarious.
Marky Post.
Like, we gotta bleed her.
Yeah, we gotta bleed her.
There. What about There's some classic season Hall Pass too though.
Hall Pass is a good movie.
Hall Pass is hilarious, man.
Yeah. Derek Waters went on to have a great run with Drunken History. He played the DJ. I was chasing Nikki Whalen's character in it, who played the coffee girl.
She's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life, man. So
Great actress and great lady.
yeah. So okay. Real quick. So you're a successful dude, right? In what you do. I hope to be successful one day, man.
This is the road. You guys are on the road. This is what you're trying to do.
I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah.
I promise you that. But
You're reaching. You're getting out there. That's what it counts. You know.
what specific habits would you develop, or what specific things would you do if looking back, like, hey, this is the type of stuff I'd instill in myself early on to give myself a career in longevity?
I think I would have been disciplined a little bit more. I mean, we're kids, right? So you learn as you go. But
You're hitting the peyote a little bit back then?
I don't know about the peyote, but you learn in the game. Nice thing is to get a mentor and network right away. I knew nothing about that when I was a kid. Trying to find a mentor right away and someone to guide you or an advisor is huge, especially when you're in Los Angeles, and just even where to live is huge. I mean, I think if I had someone to turn to when I was that age, I would have saved 3 years of my life. I mean, just blood, sweat, and tears, and where to live, how to do this, how to do that. Now you can, when you grow up, somewhat grow up, you kind of can be dropped anywhere on the planet and you'll survive.
But that struggle teached you, though. I mean, it hardened you, right? Being like dogging it for 4 years.
Yeah, it makes you stronger like anything else.
I mean, you ever look back like, oh my God, I am blessed because, dude, again, I was just inching away to hit that swan dive off the porch.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll get that close, but yeah, I mean, just it paid off, and again, I met the right guys at the right time and then worked my butt off.
Frank,
are you
any
awake?
questions?
Are you awake?
Yeah.
Any questions, young Frankie Spielberg?
I'm good.
Frankie
No, do you have
Films?
questions, dude?
What's your favorite film, Frankie?
Pulp Fiction. For
Ooh,
sure.
great
Yeah,
movie.
Yeah, I love it.
You know Reservoir Dogs?
I haven't seen it, but I'm going
You got
to
to see it. That's his first one. It's perfect.
I will.
And then he had Jackie Brown. That was afterwards.
Jackie Brown,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Robert Forster's a
I
great
actually love
actor.
Django, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite movie last 4 or 5 years?
Ooh, good question.
The Green Book.
I'll be a little biased.
Yeah.
But
Congrats.
I tell you my TV shows.
Please.
Because a lot of them are, men in tights these days.
What do you mean?
Just with all the, the Marvel movies, and
Oh,
they're all good. It's just, there's so much of it out there. There's not
too many
get-
big franchises for you.
No, I like them. I mean, they're incredible, but there's a lot of them. So it's like to you see those and then see movies that, a little bit different, whether it's indie or dramas or things like that. But TV's more. Peaky Blinders is one of my favorite shows right now.
I'm just looking through the notes here. Peaky Blinders. Haven't seen it. Frank, have you?
Netflix.
Heard it's great though.
Yeah, it's fantastic. New season's coming up. I loved Homeland. I mean, it depends on what mood I'm in to watch.
Bloodline.
Bloodline, yeah, great movie, great show.
What about Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, I would come and go.
You're not feeling it.
No, I did. I just never really had a chance to follow
All
it.
the characters.
Yeah, I like the Night Watch. I like to be on that wall.
Sopranos.
Sopranos is a great movie, great show.
It's the GOAT. Frank, you got to watch it.
The
You
Wire.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
seen The Wire?
I just started.
Yeah,
Like I said, one season deep.
yeah.
Is it kind of like Sopranos? You got to watch like 2 seasons in, and then you're hooked.
No, it's a different vibe.
It's Baltimore. It's rugged.
Yeah, but it's a different. You should watch it. I don't want to give it away.
And I'm gonna see Last Night in Rozzie too.
It'll hopefully be out soon next year. Maybe we'll see where it goes.
Okay, hey, listen, we're gonna wrap it up. I had a great time, man. Thank you.
My man.
Give me a Boston handshake, corporate.
Corporate. Then we'll give you the brotherly love one. Hi, my name is Kris Meyer, and that was my golden hour.